Hi, my name is Wilman Ziada, New York City-based director and creator of theater, television, and film, and also proud Phoenix Global Artist Ambassador. Today, I am thrilled to be speaking with acclaimed singer-songwriter-producer, ARIS ZIAGOS. For more on ARIS, you can read more about him right below this video, but in the meantime, here's a sneak peek at the incredible ARIS ZIAGOS.
Wanted by now. We want less. More in this life, let's stop it now. We want more rights in our land, we're showing you how. We stand for freedom. Stand tall for freedom. Sing it on. Stand for freedom.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you, Will?
I'm good, thank you. And I'm so excited that the audience has got a little sneak peek of your original tune, Freedom. ARIS, what inspired you to write that song?
Well, actually, there was this underlying pulse that I felt like I was picking up on my friends, the community that I live on, and with just a frustration with the way the government was representing the people. We're talking about, the Trump era that we've come out of. This was right before the election in 2020. The song actually came before the general election. It was kind of like the primaries with the Democrats. I was getting worked up and feeling political in my own life and socially active and conscious with my friends. And we were feeling like, what could we say that's universal enough, that doesn't alienate anyone, but still really stands up for the things that we believe in? So I started writing this tune, and it's about personal freedom as well as freedom that we stand for in our land, in our country, in our society. And then a great friend of mine, Janine Tirana, who's a Nashville singer, originally from New York, but then recently a Nashville transplant, joined me on the track, and it became this sort of campfire jam. And through the process of the pandemic, where we were remote everything, we were able to pull together the recording over Zoom, kind of like what we're doing now, and also do a music video that way, which we just saw a clip from. So it was all this new remote world that we're living. And so, yeah, it was that combination of election, George Floyd protests, pandemic, all in one. And that's where it came from.
Well, Zaris, thank goodness we have your artistry because you are so incredible. I'm so grateful that I got to deep dive into all of your work this past week. And I know that the audience is going to be hungry for it. So right below this video, they can find more links to who you are and what you do. But, I want to start from the beginning because I found out that not only are you in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn, but it's also where we were both born. Granted, you stayed. I was only there for 6 months. But, you can't take the Bay Ridge out of the Brooklyn boy. I want to know how growing up where you did inspired in what you do as a singer, a songwriter, and a producer.
Definitely. Well, Bay Ridge is a unique place, and it's been unique for a long time. It's old world Brooklyn. It's one of the first Brooklyn towns that was really settled. And through the 60s and 70s, it became known for a lot of old world, Eastern European, Italian, Greek American vibes, right? And then Saturday Night Fever was shot in Bay Ridge. So I think that's what the general concept of what Bay Ridge is to most people. That wasn't necessarily directly my experience. I grew up the son of a Greek immigrant father and an Irish American mother who was a belly dancer for many years. So she and he both instilled in me the sense of world music. There was actually a Middle Eastern dance club on 86th Street in Bay Ridge, kind of next to where Nobody Beats the Wiz was. And we would go there when I was very young, and I would watch these performances. I don't know if it was legal to have kids in there. I'm sure it was, because it's like a Middle Eastern pub, so to speak. But yeah, very early on, I was inspired by my parents' influences, which were represented just a few blocks away from where I lived, as well as the things that I heard around me. My mother was a lover of Motown. She loved Elvis. She loved Aretha Franklin. So that was always playing, kind of counterbalanced with Middle Eastern music. And then music at the time on the radio. The radio was always on everywhere in the 80s and 90s. So anywhere you went, you heard what was popular. And for me, that was a lot of vocalists, female vocalists. I loved Madonna when I was young, probably so young that it confuses me. There's a photo of me in a diaper in front of couple posters of her. I think it was somehow influenced by my parents just letting me do it too, because like, I don't know, like a virgin and a 2-year-old doesn't necessarily represent hand in hand, but here we are. And growing up in New York also over the course of many years, as you know, like music is so diverse, and the walls between genres really don't exist in the same way, because you can walk down one block and you hear everything. Rap, jazz, a mixture of the two, and there's such a melting pot of cultures that it also comes across in those sounds. So I
Well,
think
there's
that's what happened to me.
well, I'm really happy you bring that up, because obviously this was in your bone marrow, whether you like it or not, but that you have this kind of vibe to you that is a fusion, you know, so it doesn't surprise me that all of these different genres that inspired you growing up, whether you like it or not, has infused itself through your creations. Do you sense that?
I do, and I think that I'm very grateful for that, because as a songwriter, I think sometimes songs can be limiting if you only stick to one genre. Sometimes inspiration comes from many different places, and to force it, hey, I'm a country artist, so everything has to sound country. It doesn't always happen that way, you know? Sometimes music comes to you in a different way, and especially as we've come to more of a place where everything is based on genre in order to find a target market, it seems like, to be able to break out of boxes is just so much more liberating as an artist. So yeah, that's where I am, and that's what I've tried to do with my art, and that's why I probably am more versatile with what I release, from at my heart a rock and soul artist, but at
Right.
times dance, or at times a little more country, or a little bit
But
more world sounds.
But I also love you keep mentioning this whole notion of world music and world sounds. You know, you were brought up literally and figuratively in that environment. But the fact that your parents too encouraged you to not put yourself in a box. And I am sure too that because you're not put in a box, you then as an artist have more of a boundless landscape to attack the possibility and the wonder, and not feel so, ooh, I gotta create this to get maybe one day a Grammy nomination in that category. No, you're doing it out of a message, it seems, that you want to release in that moment.
Yeah. And for me, it's like, what does the song want to be when this
Mm,
feeling or inspiration comes to me? These days, I'm always going a little bit deeper. I've lived through a lot of life experiences that give me insight. Like, both parents of mine have passed at this point, and I've had to go through the process of grieving and healing. And a lot of personal losses that I've also learned and grown from. And I feel like putting that into the music and letting those songs speak for themselves in the way they want to be. Do they want to be more soulful? Do they want to be just, a very simple ballad, or are we going for a full impact where there's a complete drum kit and a string section coming in? What does the song want from me? And I think is what allows me to be a good producer for other people as well as myself, because I'm not just thinking, oh, this thing has to be this. I'm asking, what does it want to be? What does it want from me? And how can I bring that to the creation so that it betters everyone that hears it? Because it's not only for me. At the end of the day, when I release this song, yeah, I can like it or love it or not like it, but it's what you guys think of it and how it touches you and what it does for you. And if you take it and it becomes part of your life.
well, Zaris, I love that about you, because look, at you are a true example of what a true artist is, which is a vessel. That you are not only having that mindset as a singer-songwriter yourself, but the fact that you are going the next step in using your gift and craft and talents, and in providing a safe space for other artists to realize that their talent is limitless, that they don't need to be put in a box, that whatever they are feeling doesn't need to be put in some Tiffany box in a ribbon, that it can be authentically them and then digestible to everyone, not just maybe one type of a mindset of a person.
100%. And I'm glad that we're having this conversation too to encourage other people to be, authentically themselves, flaws and all, and let the music and the art and the voice inside speak for itself without classification. Let it be, and let it be free of judgment of your own, thought about what should I make this thing be? Because it wants to be, so it can be shared. And the easier that process is, the quicker it gets to people you want to share it with.
I could be having these conversations with you all day. Really, I just love it. I love your vibe. I just love with the mentality, in addition to your talent as a singer, songwriter, producer, but also just your mentality is so inspiring. And I'm excited for this new album to come out in the fall. Talk a little bit about Through the Storms.
Through the Storms is a labor of love for me, indeed. I've been working on it for a few years, through the pandemic and also prior. There are a lot of great collaborations on it, including the one we heard earlier, Freedom, featuring Janine Tirana. Also, a friend of mine who was a wonderful pop vocalist and performer in his own right, Ari Gold, and I did a duet on that album before he passed earlier this year, which it's one of those things where the song was already something, and then after his passing, it just became this thing larger than itself. So to be able to release these duets as a collection, and they are all songs that represent growth and healing and looking inward and trying to find the light. And I'm really excited to be able to share that, because I know it's not just about the songs, but it's about the conversations that can be had underneath those songs. And to that point, I'm also doing a podcast that follows the songwriting process, but really in-depth conversations with my collaborators and some good friends about these issues: heartbreak, healing, love, loss, grieving, and getting through the storms. And that's why it's called that.
Oh, I mean, Aris, God, we need that podcast and your album now more than ever. And listen, I didn't know Ari Gold personally, but I did meet him quite a few times out and about in my 20s, and he was such a light. Anyone that I know knew him. I remember seeing the social media posts on his passing, and what you are doing for Ari, what you are doing for all of the people that we have lost throughout this horrific time filled with dis-ease, disease, mental health issues, but that you are providing a safe space as an artist and as a human being is incredibly inspiring. And I'm so grateful that our paths have crossed. And although I could speak to you, with you forever, I want to continue this conversation. It's an important one to have. And I'm so grateful for the time you took today to speak with me.
Oh, well, I'm so grateful for you and what you're doing for independent artists. And thank you for your time. And I look forward to chatting with you more when we get a chance.
Thank you, Aaron.
In the digital age, artists and bands struggle to make a living. In fact, only a small number of artists can live off their craft. For the 98% of artists that don't have the luxury of being signed to a label, it's tough. But artists deserve to live off their art. Wherever you are around the world, appreciation of music does not change. FENIX brings bands and their fans together, whilst allowing bands to properly monetize their passion. The FENIX app will directly connect bands and fans with no need for middlemen. We're utilizing the blockchain to give the power back to the artist once and for all. Join FENIX, join the change.